It is May 2025. As of the writing of this video, these are some of the grim facts about what is happening right now in the United States of America in the handful of months since the new technocratic dictatorship has been in office. The regime has announced its plans for full and complete ethnic cleansing of Gaza. Israel and the US will not stop with Gaza. They intend to kill or remove every single Palestinian from the land of Palestine. At the current moment, the entirety of Gaza's 2 million population is under the immediate threat of death by starvation due to the recently intensified strangulation of any and all supplies into the area. The regime has announced concentration camps for undocumented citizens in Guantanamo Bay, a secret US military black site used to torture innocent people during the War on Terror, as well as plans to send American citizens to forced labor camps in foreign countries like El Salvador. They want to put American citizens in secret camps in foreign countries where the media will not be able to shine a light on what they are doing, thousands of miles away from all watchdogs and whistleblowers. The regime is being bankrolled by American tech oligarchs as well as the world's wealthiest man, who spent more than $40 billion to acquire one of the world's largest social media platforms to wage a propaganda war that successfully landed Donald Trump in the White House. Simultaneously, there are a total of 13 billionaires in the new administration, who combined are worth nearly $1 trillion US. In just a matter of weeks, they set a breakneck pace of illegally and unconstitutionally seizing congressionally approved funds meant to benefit everyday people while simultaneously awarding themselves with billions of dollars of federal contracts. They intend to dismantle your child's free education. They intend to rob you of your retirement by stealing your Social Security money. They intend to rob you of your health care as they begin dismantling Medicaid and Medicare, which may eventually result in your premature death. On day one, the Mango Muppet signed an executive order to raise your drug prices. The Trump family has gained more than $3 billion in net worth, and the billionaires connected to Trump have gained hundreds of billions more in net worth. Federal courts around the country have been issuing legal notices to the president day and night, legally requiring Trump to immediately seize his illegal seizure of public funds and illegal dismantling of public institutions. In response, the administration has indicated that they want the American judicial branch outright eliminated and for what remains to be subservient directly only to the dictator. Once this Rubicon has been crossed, their full and total capture of the US government will be absolute, and the bloodshed will commence. Community material preparation and readiness. 1. The most important part of this overview is this piece. Without it, everything else in this video means very little. If you do virtually nothing that is recommended here, please at least do this one thing. Aggressively organize your community. In this overview, I cannot provide an in-depth explanation of what that means, but I will provide some basic suggestions. Introduce yourself to your neighbors that you may not know yet. And I don't mean just the houses immediately next to yours. I mean your whole street, your whole neighborhood even. Reinforce and strengthen your relationships with the neighbors you already know. Try to put together neighborhood events like block parties so that not only are you strengthening your relationship with your neighbors, all of your neighbors will also be strengthening their relationships with one another. Communicate with your neighbors. Try to identify who among them are the most progressive and aware of what's going on. Develop this core circle of progressive neighbors. Over time, introduce them to the plans you have for community safety and preparation. As the dictatorship and bloodshed ramps up, more and more of your neighbors will become increasingly frightened and looking for answers, looking for safety, looking for leadership. That is where you and your core neighborhood group will step in and provide the support and leadership that they are looking for. It is of extreme importance that during this process, you and your community group use good judgment and discernment to avoid alerting the reactionary members of your neighborhood to what your group is doing. Approaching the wrong neighbor and trying to bring them into your community preparation could end up being a fatal mistake. All of the preparation, training, and community organization can be erased in an instant if your MAGA cultist neighbor knows what you're up to. They will not hesitate to collaborate with the MAGA Gestapo. The reactionary mind does not concern itself with the health of its community. It only wishes to do harm to others. 2. Firearms. Acquire them for yourself and your family. Pool resources together in your community to provide them for anyone who wants one. Educate and train yourself. Provide that education and training to family and community. 3. Resources, storable food, water, medical supplies, fuel, batteries, handheld two-way radios, first aid kits, etc. Pool money together in your community. Pool resources together in your community. Well-connected communities with strong relationships who are armed and well-stocked with resources are going to be the final bedrock of resistance when the Gestapo comes knocking on your door. When the Gestapo comes, are they going to be knocking on the door of an alienated, disconnected, afraid, and alone you? Someone that doesn't know any of their neighbors and all of your neighbors are just the same? Or are they going to be knocking on the door of an empowered you that is surrounded on all sides by a prepared, armed, and organized community? This part of my prescription is the cornerstone of how you are going to make it through this and feel a degree of security along the way. Alienated and disconnected communities are easy to terrorize, divide, control, and in some cases, exterminate. My other prescriptions will mean very little without this piece: cybersecurity and communications privacy. 1. Immediately cease the use of any social media accounts that you set up with genuine personal information that you've also used to discuss politics, Trump, MAGA, Elon Musk. Delete those accounts outright if possible. I am not saying to disengage from all political discourse online and let them win. I am simply saying to not do so with accounts that contain personal information which can be used to identify you. Create new, anonymous accounts with fake information that can't be used to identify you. Remember, virtually the entire tech world is collaborating with the MAGA movement. The tech overlords personally installed JD Vance into the vice presidency. You need to understand that these people will comb through their vast data vaults with the world's most sophisticated technology to identify and locate political dissidents and minorities. 2. Installing VPNs on all internet-connected devices, as well as setting up proxy servers where possible. With the VPN Plus proxy, you will have full end-to-end anonymity for all ingoing and outgoing data from your devices connected to the internet. The major hole in the security setup is going to be the apps on your mobile device, which brings me to 3. Mobile applications. You should remove virtually all mobile applications from your phone that are not absolutely essential. Mobile applications are loaded with spyware that will scrape data off your phone that is unrelated to the application. You may think you are safe because you deleted your genuine Facebook account that you used to discuss politics, but what happens when your Facebook application that's still on your phone starts communicating with your Discord app, or your Reddit app, or your Twitter app? What will it find then? If you cannot bring yourself to remove most or all of your applications, it is essential that you at least uninstall any and all mobile applications from the following companies: Meta, TikTok, Google, X/Twitter, and Amazon. These 5 tech titans have declared in front of the world that they are throwing in with the MAGA dictatorship, and as such, their tech products will be the ones that are the most heavily weaponized in carrying out their death cult ideology. If you are unable to break your addiction to screens and social media, it quite literally could end up being a fatal mistake. Take this seriously. You can continue using social media, you just need to be more intentional about it going forward. You should virtually only ever engage on social media from a personal computer that has been properly set up with VPNs and proxies, and only ever from accounts set up with fake information. Of course, there are mobile applications out there that are designed for end-to-end protection of your data and privacy. Where possible, you should move over to these. For example, if you are an Android user, your text messaging application is likely from Google, who have the ability to read every text message you've ever sent. Move your text messages over to Signal or another end-to-end encryption text messaging application. Get your family, friends, and community to go with you to privacy-centered apps like those. 4. Setting up a radio communications network for your community via handheld devices. Once things get really bad, Having a reliable communications network so that your community can instantly and reliably communicate with itself free from GPS or cell phone tower triangulation is going to be absolutely essential. When the Gestapo comes to your neighborhood, you don't want to get taken by surprise. You want to know they're coming from miles away. A key ingredient to achieving this is having a radio communication system in your community. Extra points if you can take the time to develop radio code that only your community knows. 5. Once we have truly arrived at the worst stages of this fascist takeover, you will need to cease the use of cell phones entirely. At that point, they will be purely weapons in all of our pockets, just waiting to be activated and used against us. You will likely want to have some degree of communication with loved ones outside of your immediate community, so you will need to keep your phone powered off, with the battery removed at virtually all times, only turning them on for brief spurts of communication with loved ones outside of your neighborhood. This needs to be done very sparingly and only when necessary. Of course, this is all assuming that telecommunications networks are even accessible at that point. Protecting your data and communications privacy prevents the regime from identifying you as a political enemy, which may prevent them from ever showing up in your community to begin with. You may never end up with needing to pick up your community firearms a single time by following these steps. I realize that much of this section may involve or may result in the reduction of your screen time or social media use. You need to honestly ask yourself if your continued technology addiction is worth the safety of you and your family and your community. Are the momentary distractions worth your data and communications being in the hands of technocratic fascists that are allied with the theocratic ultranationalists and a hostile takeover of the federal government? Soft skills training and useful hobbies. If you would like to do even more to prepare for what may come, as well as develop some useful skills that can help you fill some time in a more productive manner than mindlessly consuming social media content, there are a variety of things that you can do. Sewing, growing food, fishing, target practice, either with a bow or with a gun or whatever, throwing axes, whatever you may have. Learning languages, particularly Spanish, so that you may communicate with other people that are under threat from the current regime. Construction basics, automotive repair. These are just some simple examples of useful skills that may come in handy in the coming years that may increase your survivability and that of your community. Sinking some serious time into developing these skills and hobbies is a great way to fill your time in a productive manner, rather than mindlessly feeding into the very same systems that are dooming us, which could in turn end up sleepwalking you into an internment camp. To summarize, this is an extremely dire and dangerous moment, and you need to be giving this the seriousness that it deserves. Do not let your lives be thrown away as just nameless victims, numbers in a future history book, as the unfortunate masses crushed under another tidal wave of fascism. Taking the actions laid out in this overview will help alleviate the intense anxiety and fear that you have in this moment. It will make you feel empowered as you go from inactive bystanders frozen in fear and waiting to be saved to actively taking part in the protection of your lives, families, and futures. If you have a voice in the back of your head telling you there's no way this is really going to happen, this is what is known as normalcy bias. It is one of the 3 cognitive biases that virtually all humans suffer from. Normalcy bias has claimed countless millions of human lives who all had that same thought in their heads right before catastrophe. Everything is fine, everything is normal. There's no way a disaster could happen. Many millions of Germans, Jew and Gentile alike, thought this before the Holocaust. Human beings have an innate cognitive desire to rationalize their experience as normal. You need to push through this and act. It will end up being the difference between a gas chamber and making it through this with your loved ones.